Hello, everybody. Welcome to the A to Jump podcast, a podcast about video games and all sorts of other nerdy stuff. My name is Justin of Justin Games, and I'm joined, as always, by Jacob of Gooba and Jetpack. Hello, Jacob.
How we doing?
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
This is the 15th episode now.
Mm-hmm.
Number 15. It's been a long time since we've recorded. A little bit over a month. Not a lot has happened, I don't think, but we're going to go over a few things. Jake has an apology to make. Or just rather a clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Jake has played a little bit of Starfield. Just a little bit.
Teensy bit.
And then there was a State of Play, Nintendo Direct, Gamescom Opening Night Live, Jeff Keighley's gig thing, another one of his things. Not a lot to be excited about, but I've got a few I want to go over. And then October is packed with releases. I think there is a game for every single type of gamer coming out in October. We're gonna go over the rest of this year's releases. November has quite a few too. Just to kind of give you guys maybe just a little rundown of what to expect and what might appeal to you.
Yeah.
And then I finished Game of Thrones, the TV series. I've talked before about I finished the books and how I started the series but kind of limped my way through it. It's finally finished. I have thoughts. I know Jake has thoughts. So we'll discuss that as well. But first, we did get a comment on the last video, Jake.
We did. So thank you to, I don't know what to say. Thank you to Megan. I mean, if you go to the video, you can see the comments.
Yeah, you'll see it, but whatever.
Yeah.
We won't call her out.
Yeah. Thank you. If you yourself watching this want to be a part of the next podcast, go ahead and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or just make fun of the way I look or something, and we'll talk about it. Yeah. But our good friend Megan on the last episode said, "Great episode. You both teach me so much about gaming and get me out of my Nancy Drew hole once in a while," which we have talked about Nancy Drew a fair bit on this show, and we talk about it quite a lot on my channel. She continues, "I have a couple questions. I love your talk about The Witcher and was wondering if either of you have other books you're reading or would recommend." Justin, you got any books to recommend?
I have plenty. Maybe not plenty, but my top recommendation is Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I don't know if you can see that, Jake.
Yeah.
By Marlon James. This is fantasy. Pretty dark fantasy, which is my jam.
Mm-hmm.
It's African mythology.
Really?
Definitely
Okay.
based in Africa. Lots of African mythology. Really, really cool. Some trigger warnings. I would go into it,
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some yucky things in there, but it's very, very good fantasy. Very LGBTQ friendly, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I go to Barnes and Noble or any bookstore, really, I get upset that this book isn't in that section because it's very the main character. I mean, tons of characters. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's that typical fantasy world where people can just exist, or maybe not typical, but a fantasy world where people can just exist and do what they want and nobody cares.
Yeah.
So if that appeals to you, go for it. My next big recommendation would be Throne of Glass. I don't have the physical book.
Oh.
I actually do, but it's way in the living room and I don't want to go get it. This is another fantasy. I read a lot of fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
This was really good. You probably heard of this author, Sarah J. Maas, if you're on Book Talk at all. Um, that's a fantastic book. Yeah, also fantasy, very like from the bottom, working your way up
Mm-hmm.
type of. I don't know what kind of trope you want to call that, but that's very good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, those would probably be my biggest two recommendations of my favorite books. Besides Game of Thrones, I did like Game of Thrones, and then there's a few science fiction ones that I like, but I won't. I could blabber on forever. But those are my top two.
Okay. And I would say my top two currently, because I kind of just got back into reading this year. But one that I finished a little while ago, I think I might have brought it up on the last episode, is Daisy Darker, which I am
Yeah, I feel like you did mention that.
I am spacing on who wrote that. Alice Feeney. Very good book. Good murder mystery, all involving one family trapped on an island during a storm where uh, it's a coastal house on like basically on an island by itself, and when the high tide comes in, the causeway is underwater, so you can't cross until morning, until it goes out. And some crazy stuff happens. There's a big twist at the end that I won't spoil, but highly, highly recommend that one. I
But
also
is there magic?
there is not magic though.
That sounds boring. Okay,
I'm
all
not
right,
gonna
all right.
say no. I'm not
I'm
gonna
gonna
say
stop
no.
you there.
Okay.
We'll stop
Okay.
before we get too far.
Yeah. And the other, I'll just touch on briefly, because we talked about it a lot last time. I think I finished the first Witcher book, The Last Wish, it's called.
Perfect. Yep.
I know you know that, but they might not.
I know that.
But yeah, incredible. Made me very excited to continue the series. It's also made me excited about trying to play the game again. But yeah, can't say enough about it. And I've got one more that I'm currently reading. That's called The House Across the Lake by, again, I should have had this brought up already.
Shame.
I'm new to book talk.
Book world.
Yeah. By Riley Sager or Sager. I don't know, but apparently a very well respected writer in the mystery genre. I'm working on that one right now, and it's been very good. There's a couple twists already that have really caught me off guard. Definitely recommend that one.
Good.
Yeah.
And I there is one I'm currently reading. This is I just have this on ebook. Can't see that. Anyway, it's the crap. What are they called? The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I bought the ebook that has all 4 books. You can kind of see that.
Okay.
They are big books. Try to guess how many pages on ebook that 4 big fantasy books is.
Oh man.
Just throw it out.
4,000.
7,854.
Oh man.
My daughter will be graduating high school by the time I finish these books.
That one like hurt to hear.
Right? And I'm currently on 58. So I mean they're ebook pages, so I mean you get through them pretty quick, but still they're big. And Brandon Sanderson, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Jake, but he's like regarded as like the best fantasy author ever to just ever live, besides maybe Tolkien or whatever. And I've read a couple of his books, and they're just okay.
Oh, really?
Like they're fine. I don't see why they're the best, but I'm giving it another shot. I'm reading these. I'm gonna try to read these because everybody loves them. Why shouldn't I too?
Okay. Sorry, I'm just reading up on Brandon
Oh yeah,
Sanderson, because that name did sound familiar.
yeah. I mean, if you're in the book world, I'm sure you've maybe heard his name mentioned. But
Mm-hmm.
he has, you know what Kickstarter is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where fans just send money. He has the record for the biggest or highest earning Kickstarter.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like millions and millions and millions just for him to write some more books.
Wow.
And you know what? I read one of them and I didn't like it. So, so I mean, I don't know. I'm just taking my time. Sometimes I'm in the mood to read, so I read.
Yeah.
Another time that doesn't happen very often, but I'll get through it eventually.
Yeah. Might just not be for you. That's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, Megan actually had another question. My second question is, what is the story behind your podcast name, A to Jump? I like it and was wondering about the story behind it.
Well, Megan, you're gonna be disappointed.
Would you like to go into how the name came to be?
I would love to. What, maybe a year or so ago, probably longer. I just got my computer. I had my YouTube channel setting up, and like I had all the stuff. So I texted Jake and like, hey, I think we should start a podcast. If you're interested, I would really like to do that. He's like, yeah, that'd be great. So I said, all right, what do you think about a name? Should we just come up with some really cheesy, stupid video game pun like A to Jump? And you're like, I kind of like that. Yeah, okay. A to Jump it is. That's it.
Yeah.
That is how we came up with A to Jump.
Yeah. To be fair, I think we said we said pretty much right away, like, I think that I like that. Let's try and think of something else. And then just
and neither of us
like a week later, I think we were both supposed to come up with a list. I didn't have a single one. And
nope.
I texted you back. I was like, honestly, I think A to Jump is good. I think
it works.
I think it fits.
And nobody else had it. Like I searched on everything.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody else has like something similar, like really similar, but it wasn't. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the origin story.
Yeah.
A to Jump.
I like it. We didn't, it was the first one we thought of, and it was good enough that we both came back to it. Like, you know what? Yeah, it's just it's simple.
I think it works, and we're just bad at naming things. Really bad. Like my YouTube channel's name is just my name and games because I don't know what else to do. And you guys' channel is just your names too. Just your nicknames.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I mean,
not creative enough for that.
Oh well. Thank you, Megan, for your questions.
Yes.
Sorry to disappoint you on that that second one.
Yeah. And I know Jetpack plays more games than just Nancy Drew, right? She branches out quite a bit.
Yeah. So a good chunk of her content is Nancy Drew related.
Correct.
Because that's, it's her favorite series. It's the one she knows the best. But yeah, she plays a lot of games that are, she's big into, we play Stardew quite a bit. She plays a fair bit of Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is kind of like Disney Stardew, but there's a lot more to it than that. That's kind of simplifying it. She is legitimately better than me at Call of Duty. Like, it's not that hard to do, but
yeah, I've seen you play Call of Duty.
But still, she's very good at Call of Duty. And we play. Her Steam list is 3 times the size of mine. Like,
nice.
Constantly playing new things.
I only say that because Megan kind of makes it. She says, "Get me out of my Nancy Drew hole once in a while." Like, it kind of makes it sound like that's maybe all she plays, or she doesn't play much else besides that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be interesting. like just to only play like one type of game. And I don't know, I'm kind of jealous of that, just
Yeah.
because it's like there's just a million games I want to play, and I think it would be kind of just nice just to have that one game. I play it, and when the new one comes out, I don't know. I'm kind of jealous of that.
I honestly, I kind of had that thought recently. I met somebody at work and we like had to, happen to start talking about gaming and they're like, "Oh, what do you play?" And I had to pause for a second and be like,
I never know how to answer that question.
"What don't I play?" I guess. Like it's like I don't really have like I mean, I know what I like. And I always say like my favorite game is The Last of Us. I like narrative games, but that's still a very pretty big like spectrum. Like
Yeah, and I wonder if we're unique in that, or if people like Megan are unique, where they just play their one type of game, and that's why they ask like, "What do you play?" Because
yeah.
I'll usually just ask when I'm, making conversation with somebody. I'll just like, "What are you playing right now?"
Mhm.
Like, what games are you into right now, rather than like, "What games do you play?" Because when people ask me that, I don't know, dude. Like,
It's like, "Do you want me to
and I want to say third person action adventure games, and they just look at you like,
like
huh?
like,
Yeah.
"Well, I play Apex." So,
Yeah. I mean, there was a new guy at work that I was training. And I asked him, yeah, I play just shooters, just shooters.
mhm.
Like, man, see, again, like, I'm kind of jealous of that. I want to play every third person action adventure game, every tactics game, every JRPG. I want to play everything.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting when I can't play any of them because I have no time or money.
Play everything, but you don't have time to play anything.
Nope, not a thing.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
all right, Megan. I hope that was satisfactory.
I mean,
Let's
we
move.
20 minutes in already or
There
something.
you go, Megan. We just answered your question for 20 minutes. Let's move on quickly. Um, Jake has something to clarify from an earlier pod. I don't exactly remember when or what podcast it was, but we were talking about Baldur's Gate 3, correct?
Yes. So I believe it was last episode.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about Baldur's Gate because you had been playing a fair bit of it.
Hmm.
Um,
I haven't since I talked about it, so.
yeah, it happens. Um, but I had brought up a tweet that I had seen or some discourse about this tweet from a game developer talking about how um, Baldur's Gate 3 is beautiful and massive and like incredibly well made, and basically saying don't expect that from anybody else. Like, keep your standards low.
Hmm.
Um, and pretty much everybody, myself included, kind of took that as a big developer saying like, we don't want to put the effort in. Um, just deal with what we're going to give you.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not quite that simple. So the developer who actually said that, I forget his name, has clarified that he's from a much smaller studio. Um, and what he was saying when I'm not putting it in the right words, but what he said about kind of not raising your standards to Baldur's Gate was not necessarily about quality, but about scale. Baldur's Gate is obviously massive, and even though Larian isn't like a huge studio, they did
Hmm.
have a pretty big team working on that for 6 years or however long. Um, and he was basically saying that uh, to expect that from smaller studios, um, game of that scale, of that much detail, with that big of a team is just it's not possible, and it's basically if that's what gamers come to expect, then smaller studios aren't going to be able to keep up. Um, what do you? I think you kind of. I feel like you have some thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
we talked about this before we started recording, and I don't know why he felt he needed to even say that.
Yeah.
Like, no, duh. Like, no one, because I said no one's gonna be upset at Hades 2 for not being Baldur's Gate 3, because Hades 2 is made by Super Giant Studios, I think. Very, very, very small studio.
Mm-hmm.
And they made Hades, which was a huge success, and Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, like you said, Larian's not huge, but if they have a big team, okay, they're two different games. They're just different. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't get why he felt the need to say, to warn us gamers that, don't expect this out of smaller studios. Yeah, of course we don't. We don't expect every game to do this.
Yeah.
We expect, I think, like we talked about in that episode, like, we expect games to be done. We expect them to run well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no duh. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
And I think that's where, the frustration kind of came from, is most people assume that he was talking about that, about games coming out
yeah.
that are finished, that run well at launch and don't require, 4 updates over the next 2 months to make them even remotely playable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when that's not really what he was arguing, but what he was arguing for kind of doesn't seem like it needed to be said. I think,
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah, I think it came from a good place. I don't think he's a bad guy or anything. I just think,
No, it's probably just a poorly worded tweet that got taken out of hand, and
mhm,
he had to explain himself. But
yeah.
whatever.
But anyway, just wanted to clarify that because I know we had talked about it in a previous episode.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. What we've been playing. Jake, you sent me a picture of your computer screen, and it was of the Starfield start screen. And you said, and I quote, "Well, let's see if it lives up to the hype." Jake, does it live up to the hype? How much have you even played?
All right. So I am definitely not an authority on this matter.
Of course.
I have played probably like 3 hours of
Okay.
Starfield.
So very early on impressions.
Very early on. Does it live up to the hype? No. You can get mad at that statement, but I'm gonna come right out there with it. Starfield wanted to do and promised to do far more things than it does, or it promised things to be far more in depth than it actually is. So, in my opening 2-3 hours, I created my character. The character creator is just as, that part definitely was
A+.
just as in depth as you would hope for.
But the pronouns, Jacob.
God, they have to current day us like that.
Oh, I can't. I wish they'd keep politics out of my games. We're joking. We're 100% joking. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Okay, continue.
There was
Sorry.
such a funny discourse about that. Anyway,
It really was.
So yeah, character creator is great. It was to the point where I don't know if you're like this. I can't create myself on games.
Oh, I never do.
Nope. I try to, but I for whatever reason, I see myself in the mirror every day. I can't like make that on a character. So
Right.
I always have to bring in Jetpack to do it. So she comes in while I'm on the character creator, and she was like, "Hey, that looks pretty cool." I'm like, "Yeah, here." And I handed the controller. I said, "Make this." So she'll kind of like stand there. She'll go through all the options and look at me and look at the screen and look at me. Um, and she got it pretty close. And that was
Nice.
probably the most enjoyable part that I experienced. Because you get right into it and you go right into the mining materials part, which is just so dull. Um, there's a little shooting part after that. Shooting doesn't feel great. It's um, a little bit bland, I would say. Um, the space exploration could be cool. There is a just so much potential to make that cool. Um, the problem is, I think the way that they worded everything when they were talking about Starfield pre-release made it sound like you could fly from one planet to another and it would be seamless. There would be no, you know, loading
Yeah.
screens or anything like that. And that was a lie because
Yeah, I've heard.
I remember the very first, so you get off the first planet and you have to do a space battle, um, which is pretty cool. That part was enjoyable. Um, and then it's like puts the coordinates for the planet you're going to on, like, it puts like the marker in the distance. So I assume, okay, I'll just start flying towards it. Um, and you can like adjust how much power you put into your thrusters versus like your guns and your boost and all that stuff, and that's pretty cool. So I put like all my power into my thrusters and my boost, and I'm just going full speed towards this planet. And I did that for 10 minutes
Ooh.
and nothing happened.
Oh
So
no.
I eventually opened up the map, and sure enough, just had to click on it and hit travel or whatever it says. And then there's a cutscene of me landing on this planet.
I heard it's basically a fast travel simulator. You can just you're doing nothing but fast traveling.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I know I'm not that far in and people are going to be upset that I'm this adamant about it, but there's nothing that makes me want to go back to it. And that's really sad to say.
And that really sucks for a $70 game.
Yeah.
You know, and the way the most of like the critics reviews gave it, most everybody gave it like a 7, I feel like.
Mhm.
Like it is a very okay game.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a big Bethesda person, which besides Skyrim, I'm not.
Yeah.
I've never got into Fallout. I never played in the old Elder Scrolls games, so it's
Mhm.
just Skyrim. So I decided to skip this one. I didn't really have any interest to play it at all.
Yeah. Um I will go out and say that I first of all, I didn't spend $70 on it, thank God. I had a
Oh, okay.
gift, well I did, but I had a gift card for
Oh,
Steam
well.
that I wasn't using, so I was like, all right, let's, you know, we'll try out Starfield even though I've heard the things about it. Like maybe what is there I will enjoy. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I gave it, you know, gave it a few hours, got through kind of the intro section and just
And
fell for
you
me.
are not a Bethesda person either, right?
No, I believe I've tried to play Skyrim in the past. Just never wasn't really for me. I tried playing Fallout 4 again. Just I'm not that type of RPG player, if that makes
Okay.
sense. I think
Yeah.
Bethesda has a very specific type of RPG that just
Yep. I was just thinking that too.
does not translate to me at all.
Bethesda's very niche. They're very
Hmm.
unique, which is good,
Yeah,
which is very good. But unfortunately, sometimes it misses for a lot of people, which we are those people.
yeah, definitely. Starfield absolutely could be for someone.
Yeah.
If you're a big fan of Bethesda and the way that they're RPGs play, I think there's a lot that you could enjoy there.
Hmm.
That is just not the type of game I want.
Super unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I guess there was a lot of people upset that a lot of the critics just thought it was okay. Like they weren't just handing out tens like
Hmm.
crazy, and people were upset. Like I don't get gamers,
Yeah.
man. Why you gotta get so mad at stuff like that?
Just permanently online. Just they need everyone to
Yeah, yep.
agree with them, and just
And
enjoy it. Like if you
right, or
love it that much, like why do you care what other people think of it?
exactly. I forgot that I asked you a couple days later what your early impressions were describing. I said describe them using only emojis, and it's pretty good. I'll put it up on screen,
Yeah.
and you can have a good laugh like I just did.
I vaguely remember that, and I was pretty
I
proud
forgot.
of.
I forgot about it until I scrolled back to find that text you sent me. That's why I had a giggle. I had a good giggle. Um, I've not been playing very much. That's all you've been kind of
Yeah, I mean,
been
I've
into,
not
right?
been. I hate to say it because I love video games. This is a gaming podcast, but I just haven't felt like playing much lately.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I get the same way.
yeah, I restarted as I do several times a year. I think I restarted Last of Us to get some gameplay footage for a video.
Oh, okay.
Um,
It's a
I
comfort game for you, dude.
it is. It feels like a warm blanket that's covered in razor
For sure.
blades, and it's actually soggy with moss on it.
And zombies.
Just smells like death and blood. Uh, no, but I go back to it pretty often. Um, just every now and then, if I'm in like a gaming rut where nothing sounds fun, I'll put that on, have a good cry at the opening
Ugh.
15 minutes,
Yeah,
and
Jesus.
then shoot some zombies in the face, and I feel a little better.
Feel a little bit better. Witcher 3 would definitely be my warm blanket game.
Hmm.
I'm so upset with myself that I got the digital version of the PS5, but I have the disc PS4 version of the game,
Oh no,
and you can't get the free upgrade.
no, that's a
But whatever,
bummer.
it's fine. I have it on my Switch. If I really want to play it, I can play it on there.
I actually, so going off of what I've been playing, I did on my most recent work trip play a few hours of Witcher 3 on my Steam Deck. Yeah.
Nice.
I
And what did you think?
I love it. Yeah.
You've played it before, right?
Yeah. I mean
Okay.
I never made it very far. It's a very
Okay.
very very big game, so it
Yeah.
it's I don't even know how far I'll make it on this playthrough, but I was stuck at the airport for a while. Um, was looking for something to play. Nothing in my Steam library really sounded that good. I was like, I really enjoyed reading the Witcher book, and I enjoyed watching the show. It was like, I feel like I need to try this again. So, played a couple hours of it. Really only got through like the tutorial section and the
Yeah.
first town. Um,
Did you do all the question marks?
no, not yet.
Ugh,
By
I'm just
first
kidding.
I literally made it through like the story bits of the first town, and then
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
haven't there's still a lot I can do there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I might try and pick that up some more this week. Um
I forget where or what we were talking about. We were talking about tutorials
hmm.
and how The Witcher 3 was like the best tutorial area. And what game were we talking about that had a really bad tutorial?
um it might have been Final Fantasy 16. when we were, because I played the demo and we were talking about like the opening hours of that. Maybe not.
I don't think so. Let me tutorial. Here we go.
Was it just a text conversation?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we were
okay.
talking about Starfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about how it took a long time to get moving.
Mm-hmm.
You said it's frustrating. Games can be massive with hundreds of hours of content, and that's great, but get to the point. I censored a word there. You shouldn't have to put a full day of gameplay into a game before it gets interesting, which is really goes back to Final Fantasy 16, which I have played a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said Witcher 3 is a great example. Its tutorial area was a fraction of the size of the normal open world, but it was still huge and plenty of stuff to explore and do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a great example of it because it's like you're learning things, but there's still story bits that are happening in there, and you still have the freedom to kind of go and like go to all the question marks and or just go out into the world and like fight
Mm-hmm.
monsters and stuff. And yeah, with Starfield, it was like very much like a checklist tutorial, I would say.
Yeah, and I had said that I feel like games nowadays are scared to overwhelm a player with
Yeah.
a, with a too in depth tutorial that they just go too far the opposite way, and it's just a boring tutorial, and
Yeah.
you'll lose people. There was
Mm-hmm.
something, I don't know how true this was, but I think it was kind of based off some sort of research that only crap. I feel like I'm gonna misquote this, so don't take it too seriously. But like a high percentage, like 70% of players that played Starfield only played like the first 3 hours or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I forget where I heard that, so I mean, I probably shouldn't be talking about it at all.
I mean,
But it kind of tracks to your experience, you know.
absolutely. And something that I've heard a fair bit, like I feel like this is pretty valid because I've heard it from multiple, like a lot of sources at this point, is that it takes about 12 hours for Starfield to really pick up. And that is atrocious.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know, that's not gamers' time is so precious nowadays, and especially when you're competing with all the other games that are coming out.
Yeah.
Witcher 3 probably takes an hour to get things moving. Like I bet you're into that game really quick.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And and um we can kind of branch into what I've been playing. I have to finish Final Fantasy 16.
Mm-hmm.
I keep bugging my wife because I say I have to play it. I need to know what happens, but I'm not having that much fun. And she's like, "Well, just look it up." I'm like, "No, it's not how I need to do this." Like Final Fantasy is probably my favorite franchise. Like I need to play this through. I need to do it
Mm-hmm.
for myself. Like
Yeah.
no other reason other than myself. And I think when I gave my little mini review a few episodes ago, like I was 16 hours in, and it hadn't been that interesting.
Yeah.
This and I said, "What's there is good," and yeah, and it's like I just want it to be over now. Like I just want to get through it and know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I I upset myself because I'll do this thing like I want to know how far into a game I am,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I do that is I look up the all the main missions of a game or like the main quests,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll look at the one that I'm on, and I'll see how many more main quests I have,
Yeah.
and I like wasn't even halfway.
Oh,
God, I'm like 22 hours into this thing now. I'm like, I'm gonna be here forever. Uh, but yeah,
No, I fully
it's
get that.
it's getting rough out there, Jake. Getting rough,
Yeah.
and it sucks because I love Final Fantasy and I liked Final Fantasy 15 where a lot of people didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like a lot of people like Final Fantasy 16, and I kind of don't. But maybe I'll like it by the end.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
not bad by any means, but I just wish it was more.
yeah. It could be something where it's too much of one thing for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
like maybe you put it down for 6 months and then come back to it and you're like, okay, I feel like I remember what's happened thus far. I feel kind of rejuvenated to
Mm-hmm.
see where this goes. That's kind of I'm kind of in that phase with Zelda, honestly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I do this. I did the same thing with Breath of the Wild, and I did the same thing with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Two of my favorite games ever.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
jury's out.
And I for Breath of the Wild, I started it, a year or two ago, and I didn't finish it until 2 days before Tears of the Kingdom came out.
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
and now I'm probably halfway through Tears of the Kingdom, and just I had to put it down. I couldn't
Yeah.
keep making myself play it, and like that. It's funny that I feel like we feel the same way about games sometimes. It's like I have to do this.
It's like no, you don't.
It's like no, it's not our job. It's not.
If you're
It's
not
just for
having
fun,
fun,
but
don't. But at the same time, it's like yes, I do.
it's like I paid for it. I
Yeah.
was so hyped for it. We are in the interesting circumstance where we have a podcast where we talk about games that we're excited for.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and in the case of Tears of the Kingdom, several episodes uh,
Sorry, Jetpack.
were committed to that, and now we're just like, I mean, I gotta get around to it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's stop. Like, enjoy video games.
Yeah, I put Tears of the Kingdom down too.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of stuff. Just I just have to go beat the final boss, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've done two of the temples, so I consider
You
that
got a ways yet.
halfway.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
halfish way.
yeah.
Whatever.
Did a bunch of the side stuff. I mean, there's so many shrines. I've got maybe half the shrines, but
Yeah, I was almost done with the shrines too.
yeah. Well,
Now I want to go play it.
I fell in, or not literally, but I fell into exploring the depths, and it became a
Come
goal of
on.
mine. You like that?
That was good. That was good.
It became a goal of mine to try and clear as much of that as possible. And after a little bit, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, there is too much down here. It
Too
is
much.
so
That's
dark.
way too big of a bite
Yeah.
to chew.
Yeah. I was like, I've cleared the whole main map. I've cleared a lot of the sky map. I need to finish this. And then I got down there. I was like, I have just this little dot out of this whole thing.
Literal the size of the overworld too.
Yeah. So
But we
yeah.
don't want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom anymore.
No, we're
We're moving on.
maybe in 6 months when I finally pick it up again, we'll talk about it
Yeah,
more.
maybe once we beat the final boss.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, okay. So I was kind of getting into Final Fantasy 16 again, and then we knew it was coming out, and we'll talk about it again in a few minutes. But Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth got a release date,
Mm-hmm.
which is February 29th,
Okay.
which is very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided I wanted to I wanted to replay the original Final Fantasy VII, 1997,
Mm-hmm.
which I have on my PlayStation, and I want to replay the remake before the new one comes out. I'd
Okay.
like to get I'd like to get the platinums for both,
Yeah.
and then Platinum Rebirth when that comes out. So
Good luck.
that's kind of my plan here. Yeah. Thanks.
Do they have
Uh,
so you said that you have the original on PlayStation. Is it like a um part of like PlayStation Plus or something or
I think so. I think it is on that, but I bought just the actual game
oh,
years
okay.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like I don't know what word you want to use. It's got some quality of life improvements.
Okay.
I don't think visually it's any different,
It's not like
but it's got
remastered or anything.
no. Um it's got like you can push the thumbsticks, and one thumbstick makes it like 3 times speed.
Okay.
So you can scoot around the areas or get through battles really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um the right stick I think does no random encounters
Okay.
because it's got that old school video game thing where you just run around and randomly you'll run into an enemy. You can turn that off, and then if you push both thumbsticks at the same time, it gives you full health, full mana, and full limit gauge. So if you're like about to die, you
You
can
can
just
just hit that.
hit that and you're good, and then you
Okay.
can crush your yeah. So it's cool,
That's good.
but yeah, it's been fun. I've played a little bit, and I'm using a guide to get
Mm-hmm.
through the original Final Fantasy VII because it's very, I don't know, you can miss a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
if you, and just to make sure I get the full experience,
Yeah.
I'm using a guide just on my phone. I don't have a physical one or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about all I've been playing, and split screen Stardew Valley with my wife and my kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's been fun.
Oh yeah.
Stardew, very good game.
Yeah.
Very good game.
That's a common one in our household as well. If um especially if I'm home for a short amount of time
Mm-hmm.
between work trips, usually at least a couple hours there will uh reserve for us to play Stardew together.
It's a nice, just relaxing time together,
Yeah.
I guess.
Just dream about owning property.
And and making thousands of dollars overnight
Yeah.
by just doing nothing really.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's
Walking around and picking up berries and then selling them.
having a whole day where you just devote to let's just go fishing and you
You
can
like
make
the
money off of
fishing?
that. I
Do you
don't
like the fishing?
I don't mind it.
Ugh.
I kind of
We hate fishing.
I kind of like the challenge of it a little bit.
Well, you can have it. I don't like it.
Jetpack has the cheat on where you auto catch fish.
Jetpack. Come on.
Sorry, I outed you, but
Called her out. Called her out.
yeah, that's okay. She'll be over at her desk, and I'll just hear her like, because we usually fish like close to each other, so I'll hear her get a bite, and then immediately a fish comes up, and then I get a bite, and I'm over here just clicking,
Struggling. Yep.
just trying to keep that stupid green bar.
Ugh. It's impossible, especially like early game because we've been starting all new games or all new farms together.
Yeah,
And that little green bar is so small.
yeah,
Like it's impossible.
it just moves too fast.
Yeah.
But I like it because when you finally catch it, it's so rewarding. Even if it's just like a tiny fish that I've
Just a
caught a
little-
million times, I'm still just
Yeah.
like, yes, I won. Okay.
Well, all right.
I think
That's about all we've been. That's all we've been playing, I guess. Nothing too exciting.
It's not we in the grand like, you know, scope, we haven't played very much at all, but we still found a way to talk about that for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, talked about nothing
Yeah.
for 10 minutes. Okay, cool.
Subscribe.
Quality content, baby. Okay. So there was a bunch of I don't even know what to call all these. There was a Nintendo Direct, a PlayStation State of Play, and Gamescom Opening Night Live. A bunch of trailers and release dates announced and stuff like that. Nothing really earth shattering for either of us, I don't think. However, there were 4 games that stood out to me, and I want to tell you about them.
All right.
And I'm gonna watch your face as I say the title of this game.
Okay.
Unicorn Overlord.
You have my attention.
Unicorn Overlord is probably not the game you're thinking of, or what it might look like. It is from an apparently pretty renowned studio. That I can't remember, and I need to look up now.
Oh, I think I found it. Vanillaware?
Vanillaware. There it is. They are pretty famous Japanese developer. They've made 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, which is apparently very good.
Okay.
That I never played.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people seem to like that. So yeah, this is a tactical RPG, a really unique art style. Kind of visual novel-ish, but giant battles with like lots of characters on screen. Very much my jam. Very, I guess, Fire Emblem meets
Okay.
I can't remember the other one of the thing I'm thinking of. But looks really good. Looks like a Justin game for sure. And I thought it was really cool when I was kind of researching this earlier that I completely forgot everything about. The collector's edition comes with a tabletop card game
Interesting.
of the game.
Really?
Like you can play the game but in a tabletop card format. I'm like, that's cool.
That's pretty.
Now that's how we do collector's editions,
Yeah.
people.
Make it worth the, extra $100 or whatever you're offering.
Yeah, this one is only an extra math $70.
See that? You know what? There you go.
$60 or $70. Yeah.
Yeah. Game developers, take note.
We don't want your crappy DLC weapons and armor that are just useless after the first 2 hours. We want a card game.
Yeah. Make it
or Legos.
Give us something to do with that extra $100 or whatever we're spending. Like, I mean, it's not fair to say that no collector's edition is worth it because I have several behind me here. But like some of the collector's editions that I've seen lately, it just comes with like, you have to really like that series and really want to display the giant statue that it comes with, because there's not a whole lot else there that's worth that money.
Yeah.
Like usually cosmetic, maybe like one item that will be helpful in the early game, and then you'll immediately, 3 hours in, you'll find something way better.
Yeah, and that's why I usually skip like pre-order bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's nothing. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I usually I have to buy my games digital now, but even before, like I don't need to worry about making sure I have a copy.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we pre-order stuff at GameStop, you pre-order it so you made sure that you had it when you
Yeah.
got there.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. It's not even worth pre-ordering now.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen something where
Oop.
like people are pre-ordering much less often now,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of screws up game developers. But I don't know, make your stuff better. I don't know what
Yeah.
to tell you.
Make it more worth it. But yeah.
But I'm watching the trailer for this, and I'm just getting more and more excited. It looks really cool. Like you're just kind of going around a battlefield and taking over cities, and like you're kind of talking to the people in the cities, the ones that you've already taken over, and then like going to battle with ones you of the cities you want to take over.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Definitely
That
looks
cool.
like a Justin game.
That is a Justin game through and through. That's March 8th.
Okay.
It's Switch, Xbox, SNS, and PS4 and 5.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. Next was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We just kind of already talked about that. They showed a lot in this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Having played the original, I kind of knew what everything was,
Mm-hmm.
and they showed some really cool stuff. I don't know. A lot of us original game players are just curious to see how they take it from here,
Mm-hmm.
because the way the last one ended, like it was strange and kind of made us think that they weren't going to go in the same direction. So everyone's just excited to see where it goes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's February 29th on PlayStation 5.
Okay.
That was in the PlayStation State of Play, if you were curious. Another one from the Nintendo Direct, Princess Peach Showtime. We talked about this already. We all we knew was there was a Princess Peach game. We didn't get any gameplay, and we didn't know it was called Showtime. And we didn't get a release date. That's out March 22nd on Switch. But it looks pretty cool. You are playing as Peach, and her superpower is not crying now. Apparently, that's what her thing was in her last game that she had a long time ago.
Yeah.
But now she maybe kind of like Mario Odyssey, where you would just kind of take over abilities from like monsters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of like taking over. She like puts on different outfits, and she, I don't know, accomplishes her different tasks with this outfit. Like she was a detective in one. She was Kung Fu Peach, and she was fighting and kicking people. And I forget what the other one was. With the detective, she was like trying to solve a mystery or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still very geared towards children, as most Nintendo games are. If my daughter wanted to play this, I would play it with her.
Yeah.
And I think I would really like it. It looked pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer right now. It definitely it does give off some Mario Odyssey vibes, which is a very good thing.
Yeah, that's not to say that's bad.
And I think you're right about, well, I mean, I know that the outfits are going to play a part in it, but I think maybe each outfit gives her a different ability of some kind.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like she puts on the I'm, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it a pirate outfit. And
Okay.
she can, she's got a sword, and she can sword fight now. And then the detective one, like adding, it's not just doing one thing over and over and over. There's going to be probably a lot
Yeah.
of different styles of
Yeah.
gameplay, which I think is going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the pirate sword fighter Peach. That was the
Hmm.
name of that one.
Yeah.
And she seems to always be on a stage,
Yeah.
which
So,
I mean that goes with the Showtime name, I guess.
well, something interesting about just the visual aspect of this is like because she's always on a stage, a lot of the backgrounds and even like the enemies and stuff kind of look like they're on strings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's like everything is part of the performance, if you will.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's cool. It's a Mario is really good at like making a theme and really like getting creative about sticking to it.
Yeah. It looks like Princess Peach is gonna follow that.
Yeah.
I think it looks like a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Let's see. The final one that I had, I think this was at the Gamescom one. It's called Crimson Desert.
Okay.
This is from a Korean developer called Pearl Abyss, and this game, it is a 3.5 minute trailer with just the most amount of stuff packed into it. Good luck making heads or tails of what this game is.
Hmm.
It just seems like pure action. You've got some sword fighting, you've got some bows, you've got horse mounted combat, blowing stuff up, you're exploring. And there was some. Are you watching a trailer right now, Jake?
I'm looking for um an article that has that one on there.
Okay. Um, but it kind of just looks like, I don't want to say typical, but this is like your typical RPG stuff.
Hmm.
You're getting quests from a quest board. It looks like maybe like hunting contracts. You're fishing. You're fighting crabs. You're petting dogs. You're picking up cats. You're wearing. I'm just kind of like live doing this. You're in a hot air balloon, and then there's this cool thing where like you're stepping through like a mirror. It kind of looks like a mirror, but maybe like a hole in the wall.
Hmm.
And it's giving me like Assassin's Creed vibes. You kind
Okay.
of remember where you would step into the Animus almost
Hmm.
and be like that. It's given, and it's got, those are puzzles
Okay.
that you got to figure out. So there's a lot of it's, and you're climbing buildings like Assassin's Creed. So I mean, there's like the action combat of maybe like The Witcher, but like maybe even on drugs with the horse combat and the bows.
Yeah.
You got like some Zelda things with the puzzles and the horses, and a lot of Assassin's Creed stuff like stepping into the things and having the puzzles like Zelda. And they just showed a little thing where like you're climbing buildings and jumping into a window just like you would in an Assassin's Creed game.
Hmm.
Um, there even seems to be like a little ultra hand ability, like where you
Okay.
can pick stuff up and move it around. And you're like, turn out. There's even if you have no interest in playing this game, look up this gameplay trailer for
Hmm.
Crimson Desert. It's just wild. It looks like fantasy turned up to 11,
Hmm.
which is cool for me. I
Yeah.
enjoy that stuff.
I'm watching the trailer right now. I'm definitely seeing, you know, there's bits and pieces of a lot of different games in here. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing. I think they're
Hmm.
from what it looks like, they're taking pieces from Zelda, Assassin's Creed, um, maybe even some, Witcher style combat, and they're
Hmm.
meshing them together really well.
Yeah, and that's not to say it's being derivative because it looks very original, and unique for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And I don't think this company Pearl Abyss has like actually released anything yet.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar, but
I think they're a brand new. Oh, Black Desert Mobile or
okay.
Black Desert Online.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's a very popular online game.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Well, I mean, this just the scale of this one looks
It
crazy for a
looks
first time
insane.
like console release from the sound of it. Yeah, I probably had seen the trailer for this one, but I'm definitely interested to see more on this.
Yeah, no release date or anything on that. That's probably a 2025 thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because goodness gracious,
We're, we're already almost to 2024, which is crazy.
that is crazy. I didn't really realize that. But okay, that's all I really had. And I don't think you really anything resonated with you, right?
Not really. Yeah, I mean, going through the list here, like there's not a whole lot that really stuck with me. On the Nintendo Direct, I will say, they had a they announced that F-Zero 99 was coming to Switch, through the
Yeah,
Switch
I
Online.
haven't played that.
Yeah, I never played that one. I did have F-Zero X on Nintendo on 64.
I I remember playing that at your house
Yeah,
for sure.
I absolutely loved that game, and I'm really disappointed that that series seems like it's just been abandoned.
Yeah, people have been complaining about that.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it like I know a lot of people really loved that series, especially F-Zero X, and then it kind of just I think maybe they put one out in like the early 2000s, and then it just nothing since. And I think that
Yeah, I don't know.
with modern consoles, I think that they could make something really cool with that. But
Well, get in there and play F-Zero 99. Apparently a lot of people like it.
yeah, that you playing with 99 racers does sound cool. It'd be very chaotic. And
Which I mean was kind of the point of
yeah,
the
I
F-Zero
mean,
franchise, right? Wasn't it?
I think you play with 30 racers on F-Zero X, which there are times with that where the track would get so narrow that you basically had to like push up against other people in order to get through
Right.
it. And it was stressful, but it was a lot of fun. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'll try that one out.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that, but I know I remember you did. We would play it
Hmm.
not in like your basement, but the first basement.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can distinctly remember that little
it
living
was
area,
it was
whatever that
like
is
the
called,
sort of below ground level, but not
but
the
not all
basement.
the way underground level. Yeah.
It's making our my childhood house sound huge. We just had a very weird layout of our house.
It was. It was weird. No, it wasn't. It was a nice house, but it wasn't enormous.
Yeah. Um but yeah, that one, caught my attention, made me nostalgic a little bit. And one that is kind of I'm surprised that I'm excited for is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Oh, okay.
Um, I know you're not much of a side scroller guy. I'm really not either. There's not very many side scrollers that I played, but the traversal on this one just looks really fun. Looks very
Have you
like
tried Shantae and the Seven Sirens?
no, I have not gotten into
Well,
that
all right.
one.
Call me when you play that.
All right. I hear the community on that one is a little
Be
weird.
careful be careful on the subreddit on that one.
No, I'm excited to see more on that one. I think that looks pretty cool. The traversal kind of reminds me of did you ever play Ori and the Blind Forest?
No.
It's kind of the movement in that one is what really stuck with me. It's a very, for lack of a better word, it's very fluid. Like you can jump,
Fluid.
yeah, you can jump from, you know, one platform and like kind of wall jump off another, and like that sounds very basic, but just I think it's
But
something
yeah.
about the animation just made it look
Yeah.
so smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how they did it, but I get a similar vibe from the new Prince of Persia, so I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Apparently, Prince of Persia was kind of the beginning of Assassin's Creed. Like the guy that created Assassin's Creed worked on the Prince of Persia games
Mm-hmm.
and
Which,
just kind of branched off from there.
yeah, did you ever play any of those growing up?
Prince of Persia?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
not a
neither
one.
neither did I, and I don't. I feel like I would like it, but I just never have gone back to it for whatever
No.
reason.
Now's your chance to start.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, that's there's really not much else that really caught my attention on on really any of these directs.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy.
Yeah, I mean PlayStation, they showed more Spider-Man. I've talked about that enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna play this, but they announced a Ada Wong DLC for Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah.
Um, which, you know, as we said with when Resident Evil 4 came out, like, good for you guys. Like, I hope the fans
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it. I'm not gonna play it.
No, I won't play it. Too scary. Can't do it.
Yeah. Um, I did think it was kind of funny that they started the showcase with baby steps.
Ugh. Yeah, baby steps.
Oh man.
It looks like Quap on drugs. Do you remember Quap?
I do remember Quap.
QWOP. Just go ahead and Google Quap and give that game a try. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And this looks like it's nothing but
It's gonna be
that.
right
But
up there. I'm wondering
yeah.
if um the voice acting is gonna be as like as goofy throughout as it was in that trailer.
Yeah.
Like I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Is they it's I mean it's a Devolver game apparently, so they know what they're doing. They're gonna make something really
That
weird.
makes that makes total sense that Devolver's developing that
Yeah.
or publishing it rather.
But anyway,
All right.
that's pretty much all I got for the showcases.
All right. So we're ready to move on then?
I think we're ready.
Okay. Well, I excitedly made this list. Exciting releases remaining for 2023. I made this about a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a bunch of September releases on it, but those are all gone. uh, so today, as we're recording, is September 26th, and so we're just gonna go through the rest of the games coming out in September and October, and I narrowed this down. I only put down the ones that I kind of recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And November's got quite a few too. And yeah, we'll just kind of go through them game by game. If either one of us has something to say about it, we will.
All right. Well, we'll start with the game that I mean, I guess the DLC that came out today, which is
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Now, I feel like we've talked about Cyberpunk before, um, pretty in depth on here,
Mm-hmm.
about how excited we were for it and then how disappointed we were with how it turned out.
Yep.
Um, and it sounds, from what I've read and the reviews I've seen, it sounds like they actually have really turned things around,
Yeah.
which I'm excited to hear. Because that was a game that I think a majority of the gaming community was looking forward to for many years. And to have it come out in the state that it did, not really living up to any of the promises that it made,
No.
was really disappointing. Um, but now we've got a new DLC, which is supposedly very good. Um, and they're calling this Cyberpunk 2.0 because they've made so many changes to the actual
Right.
game and how it plays that it's almost a completely different game.
Yeah, the developers are recommending you just start a new game so that you can get the fresh experience because it comes with some new story stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm guessing that only comes at the end
Yeah,
of
probably.
the main game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think I heard on a podcast that said as you load up Cyberpunk, you can choose to start a new game or you can start right from where the Phantom Liberty story starts,
Mm-hmm.
which you could do in Witcher 3 too.
Okay.
You could start fresh from the Hearts of Stone one or the Blood and Wine
Mm-hmm.
stuff, or just start a completely fresh new game. But it sounds like GameSpot gave it a 10, and they don't hand those out
No.
very much. So I think it sounds like they fixed a lot of issues that gamers had. I mean, it's been 4 years they've been working on it
Yeah.
because it originally came out in 2019, right?
Uh, yeah. December
I,
of 2019, I believe.
yeah, I believe so.
Oh,
So yeah, I don't really know the details of what's been fixed, um, or what's been added or improved upon. So I don't know. I can't really speak to that, but it sounds like a lot of things have been fixed and are better now.
yeah. The only specific things that I can think of that I saw is they changed up um a lot of the UI. So like the skill tree is a little bit more simplified, which is very good because
That is good.
that was such a mess. I think, or at least I hope that they've kind of toned down the looting. Um,
Yeah, I did hear armor isn't based on clothing anymore.
okay.
It's based on like the upgrades you get at like the Ripper dock.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to walk around looking completely ridiculous just to have the highest armor rating.
Which I did.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah, I did too, and it bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like looking like a dork. Like so, the upgrades that you get at the Ripper dock, where you like improve, I don't know, your appendages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's how your armor is based now. Which the little things like that definitely help.
Yeah. It makes me actually think about going back and starting a new one to see
Yeah,
what's
I would
changed
love
about it.
to. And I mean, damn, I mean, we could do it for free. Well,
Yeah.
you wouldn't get the story stuff for free, but the 2.0 update is free for everyone, I
Yeah.
believe. So yeah, I would love to revisit Cyberpunk. I honestly would.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is that all you got to say about Cyberpunk, Jake?
Yeah. Um,
Love it.
yeah. Just if you had a bad experience with it, maybe consider
Yeah,
giving it another shot.
yeah. Go read a review. Watch a rundown video or something.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Sonic Frontiers, the Final Horizon DLC. That comes out on the 28th.
So,
I should say Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty DLC is only on next gen consoles
mm-hmm.
and PC. So Xbox X and S, PS5, and then
Mm-hmm.
PC. Sonic Frontiers is on everything. That was Sonic's kind of answer to Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Just a huge open world with lots of little things to do. I think it was pretty good. People seem to like it, not as much as Breath of the Wild.
I heard it was decent. I think it was from what I mean, I haven't played it, so this is,
Yeah, me neither.
grain of salt and all that. Um, but from my understanding, it wasn't necessarily open world, it was more like open zone,
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine too.
which is still, that's still
Yeah.
cool. Still a new way to play Sonic because, up until this point, like I think they had some uh 3D ones, but it was very much still like you're playing on a track for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2. That was my jam on the
Yeah.
GameCube. I played the crap out of that game.
I feel like we've talked about that before too.
Probably. Yeah. The Chow Gardens, raising the cute little chows. Yeah. That was good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so that's kind of all we've got for September. Um, moving on to October. Now October is pretty packed. Pretty big names in this list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet, Jake. Are you looking at the list?
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet you've never heard of Disgaea, have you?
Nope.
Disgaea 7. It's spelled DISGAEA, number 7. Vows of the Virtueless. This is out on October 3rd on PS5 and 4, Switch, and PC. So everything but Xbox, pretty much. This is one of the goofiest, weirdest games I've ever played. I played Disgaea 5. No, I played Disgaea 4 and 5. I missed 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really like to play 7. It is a JRPG and one of the Jayest JRPGs I've ever played. It is micromanaging just through the roof. It's weird. It's anime as heck. If you enjoy anime, you will probably like this game. It's turn-based tactics, but every tactics game kind of has its own little unique thing. This has about a dozen unique things.
Yeah.
Most games, you'll kind of max out your damage meters at like 99 or even 999. This has no limits.
Oh my
you
God.
can do 10 billion damage. You can get to level 500 million if you want. This game, you never have to stop playing it. And it has a story.
Oh,
and the
man.
story is it's insane, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It has a story, and I didn't think the stories were that bad. They're weird, of course, but
Yeah.
they're fine. And then you get like your items, like a sword or armor,
Mm-hmm.
and the way you can kind of improve those is you can enter the sword.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, this is weird. And in the sword, there will be battles against enemies, and you defeat those enemies. And if you get all the way through, you can improve that weapon or that piece of armor. You get
Okay.
armor buff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way it was in Disgaea 5.
Okay.
Like I said, I didn't play 6. But, I mean, you can just do that endlessly with items after item after item after item after item. And yeah, it's just so unique. I love this game, and I hate that it's not more popular. And there's like Congress, like a literal Congress. And if you don't like something, a gameplay mechanic in the game, you can go to this Congress, and lobby for it to be changed. And I can't think of certain specifics. Like if you I'm mad that I didn't look at this further, but yeah, it's a certain game mechanic. You could get it to change if you like got enough votes and stuff. It's so weird, dude.
Yeah.
I loved Disgaea 4 and 5. They're just so out there. But this one looks really good.
Yeah.
That's out on October 3rd. I think I said that already. Yeah, it's if you're into turn-based RPGs, this is 100 is so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be sorry. If you like anime, I think you'll like just how weird this game is. If you like a crazy anime, this is for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear more about it from.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's tough. I don't know when I'll ever have time to play this, but I want to.
yeah.
Um, you want to take the next one?
Yeah. So next up in October, we have Assassin's Creed Mirage on October 5th. Coming to PS4, PS5, all the Xboxes, and PC. Um, Now this is one that we have talked about quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
on this show. And I feel like we're both on the same page on this one. I think we're both pretty excited for this.
Very.
Because it seems like it's a bit of a return to form to the original Assassin's Creed series, focusing less on the RPG elements and more on stealth and maybe story a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, a little bit more on the climbing and free running, things that really set Assassin's Creed apart from, other games of the time.
It reminds me of the Assassin's Creed games that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the reason that Assassin's Creed might be like my second favorite franchise, right behind Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, the RPG trilogy or the mythology trilogy didn't really stick with me. I'm glad we're kind of getting away from that
Mm-hmm.
and moving back towards like the Brotherhood, uh, Syndicate type gameplay.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just what fits an Assassin's Creed game, you know?
Yeah. I
The huge open world RPGs just didn't work for me.
No. I I've said this before, I will continue to say it. The thing that got me, like, the where I started to lose interest in Assassin's Creed was when they made it a massive open world and they started adding ship elements to it.
Yeah.
I never liked the ship battles, even in Black Flag, which is to a lot of people consider to be the best one. Um,
Yeah.
Never got into it. I always liked the being in the city and focusing on stealth and traversal and actually having, your hidden blades mean something. They
Yeah.
can be a one-shot kill if you can go undetected. And
Hmm.
that was what was fun about Assassin's Creed for me. And it was, I'm right there with you. It definitely at one point in time was one of my favorite series because, you know, all of the original games still had that aspect to it that I really enjoyed. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see them kind of return to that. I hope that it does turn out to be what we're thinking it is, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. October 5th. So not much longer to wait for that.
Yeah.
About 9 days from right now.
Oh my God, we are almost we're almost in
Yeah.
October.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Oh man.
Okay. Next is Detective Pikachu Returns. I believe this is a remake of the old. I
I
could be wrong.
I guess or I think
I don't
I think
know.
it might be it might actually be a sequel, but I could not tell you.
It's not a normal Pokemon game.
No.
You are not you're not going around catching Pokemon like you would in a normal mainline one. I think you're going around and you're being a detective
Just as Pikachu.
as Pikachu, which If you're super into Pokemon, that'd be for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's October 6th, and that's for the Switch only,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. Maybe obviously to me. Next is Lords of the Fallen. Now it seems like you kind of know more about this than I do. I've just
Yeah.
heard it talked about before.
So my understanding of this is, well, what I know of this series is that there was another game called Lords of the Fallen that was released in 2014. Um, I think it was kind of uh, marketed along like when PS4 was first coming out. It was marketed as not a launch title, but one that you could look forward to pretty early in the PS4 era. Um,
Mm-hmm.
really advanced graphics for the time. It was supposed to be kind of an alternative to like the Dark Souls uh, type of game.
Okay.
Just very, you know, uh, I can't even think of how to describe it. Is
Just like very,
you know what Dark
yeah,
Souls is.
like difficult combat,
Yeah, difficult
stuff like
sword
that.
fighting. I don't know if they had other builds in it. I think it was pretty specific to swords. Um, and it came out. I played a little bit of it, and it was fine. I guess.
Yeah.
I think most people would consider it like an okay game. Probably like a six
Very
or seven
okay.
out of 10.
Okay.
But really just didn't make a big impact. I feel like I've definitely seen used copies of it at every GameStop I've ever been to. Um,
Oof.
and so I was very surprised when they announced that they were making a new game with the same title. uh,
Let's try it again.
10 years, almost 10 years after the original. Um, I don't know too much about it. I've heard that they kind of took the criticisms of the old game and are trying to do something new with it. Um, so we'll see. It's probably not one that I'm gonna play unless they really did something new that's not Dark Soulsy, because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we've talked about how that's kind of not the game for us.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I hope
So
it's
yeah,
good. I hope they.
yeah. This is definitely gonna appeal towards the Soulsborne
Mhm.
fans.
Yeah.
But that's out the 13th, next gen and PC only.
Hmm.
So PS4 and Xbox One people, you're out of luck.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry. Next is Sonic Superstars. That's the 17th on everything. Now this is 2D Sonic. Side-scrolling Sonic, kind of like the old school
Hmm.
Sonic games. That I remember playing on my Game Boy Advanced, or
Yeah.
excuse me, it's Advance. Is it Advanced or Advance?
Advanced with
Okay,
with a D.
ED. Okay, I was right. It just didn't sound right. It looks cool.
Yeah.
If you like old school Sonic games, that's gonna be for you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the Sonic that people always gravitated towards was the 2D side-scrolling ones, and
Mm-hmm.
didn't like it as much when they'd branch out a little bit. I don't really have a love or hate for Sonic, but
Same. Yeah, I
I
don't.
hope it's cool.
Good for you. Good for you, Sonic fans.
Hmm.
All right, Jake, you can have the next one. I know you're excited for this one.
Yes. So on October 20th, we are getting Marvel Spider-Man 2. Um, I think I've made it pretty clear now that I am very excited for this game. Marvel Spider-Man is one of my favorite. It's in my top 5 games of all time. Um, Miles Morales is just as good in a lot of aspects. In some ways, even better, in my opinion, just with some of the abilities you use. And now you get to play as both of them, both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. They're adding new abilities for Peter with the Venom powers. Um, they've added Brooklyn and Queens, basically doubling the map of the original game, which is crazy because that game already felt huge.
Right.
And they are uh, making the traversal even better, which I genuinely don't know how they could do that because
Yeah.
the traversal was the pull factor for that game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, the combat is what it is. It could get a little bit repetitive at times, but there was nothing more satisfying to me than just swinging around the city and, like making these like hairpin turns around buildings and doing flips, and it was all just so seamless.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow they've, according to people who've played it, they've made it even better. So can't say enough good things about that game. I am so very angry at my job for making me go on a work trip when that comes out, so I won't be able to play it day one. Um, but yeah, can't wait to get in. That's definitely going to be one of my most played games of the year. I can tell you right now.
Awesome. I love Spider-Man, my favorite superhero.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the games. That's a me thing.
Oh,
I
this
don't like any I don't like any superhero game, honestly.
oh this friendship has been fun, but
Yeah, sorry.
sorry, man.
All right,
I gotta go.
podcast over. I like the movies. I'll watch
Yeah,
all the movies. I just
I
don't play the game.
I had a thought that can I go on a real quick tangent here?
Tangent away.
So yesterday, I was on a very long flight across the country, and I was looking for a movie to get me through most of it. I landed on a personal favorite that I think a lot of people would agree on, which is Avengers Endgame. Um,
Quite good. Quite good.
Still, I've seen it probably a dozen times now. Still
Mm-hmm.
loved it. The
Yeah,
ending still made me cry. Um,
of course.
on a plane, which was awkward. Um, and I had a thought about Marvel and just the fact that, with the exception of Spider-Man Far From Home and No Way Home, which I thought were both very good, Marvel has just not gotten my attention since Avengers Endgame.
Nope. I talk about that all the time too.
Yeah, it that that movie really was like, you know, it was the culmination of what, 10 years of uh movies, like stories blending together with characters that people really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I think it ended pretty much perfectly. Like, there's not a whole lot I would change about it. Um and I know that this would never happen in a million years because, Marvel is a super giant now when it comes to movie franchises. Like, they're never going to stop making money. Um,
Right.
but God, I wish they would have stopped, or at least just stop with the cast that you have left from that era, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need, you know, we don't need to see uh, more Loki, even though I've heard that show's good. Um,
It's
or
fine.
Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye. Like, just let them go. Like, start,
Yeah.
like, get new characters or something.
Yeah. Reboot Daredevil already. Like I keep talking about it. Just
Just
Daredevil
do
is
it.
awesome. I like Daredevil.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. I say that all the time. Since Endgame, like nothing has grabbed me besides the Spider-Man movies. Like you said,
Yeah.
I do enjoy the Spider-Man ones.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just because, I mean, for one, it's Spider-Man. It's hard to not like Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom Holland is, I don't know if I want to call him the best Spider-Man. Um
He's no Tobey Maguire, sir.
Yeah, I think all of them have their strengths. Even Andrew Garfield, I will say, has his strengths as Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
So spoilers, I guess, for No Way Home. When I feel like everyone knows this by now, but when all of them come together, I just loved that dynamic. I thought that was so fun
too.
hearing them talk about like their experience as a Spider-Man, and how it differed from the others. I thought that was great.
So that just like comes out of you. Yeah,
I guess.
I gotta make mine in a lab.
Oh
just their banter was the best. I loved that.
Like, I think that was better than, the fight scenes with all of them were great, but I think just that time of them in the lab together, like talking about things, that was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. And how like they were trying to communicate better. So Tom Holland was Spider-1, Toby was Spider-2, and then poor Andrew Garfield, who never got a third movie,
was Spider-3.
Spider-3.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor Andrew. It's all right. We still love you, dude.
I mean, he definitely, he still had one of the best emotional moments of the movie when he saved MJ.
Ugh. That made me tear up.
That one got me.
Yeah.
Good.
When he was sad about, he was tearing up. He saved her. Ugh.
Yeah. That one got me.
Yeah. That was good. Good stuff.
But anyway, video games.
Back to games. Okay. We're gonna scoot through these next ones. The rest of these. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Out on October 20th on the Switch. That looks really good. 2D Mario, side scrolling, just like the old school again. You can definitely tell there's some marketing that said people want old school. Old school side scrolling.
Yeah.
But that looks very good. I would like to play that at some point in my life. It might not be in October, but
yeah, I think I've never been like, I've always been more partial to the 3D Marios. But this one, it looks like it just looks fun. It looks
like
different.
A lot of fun. It's completely multiplayer too.
Yeah.
Up to 4 people. It's all couch co-op and online, I believe.
Yeah.
So fun for a lot of people. It's fun for the family. Okay, Cities Skylines 2, the 24th on next gen consoles and PC. So City Skylines kind of represents this genre of game that I so desperately want to be into. I've talked about it before. Just that 4X. I guess this isn't really a 4X game. This is just a city builder. But it looks like a lot of fun. City Skylines 1 was extremely popular. A lot of, especially on Twitch, a lot of people on Twitch played that. So City Skylines 2 is probably going to be twice as good.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with that. I'm right there with you. It's a game that I wish I could get into.
Yeah,
I hope someday I can, but it's just for me it kind of feels overwhelming right now.
Yeah. And you know what? I realized I left a game off this list. Called the Lamplighters League. And I've talked about it on this podcast before after some Paradox showcase.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Which is a turn-based tactics game. Very XCOM-y. But with maybe like a little Indiana Jones type feeling to it.
Yeah.
But I'd seen some gameplay a while. It's very fantasy too. There's like some magic going on in here.
Okay.
Looks very interesting. I would love to get into this game.
Mm-hmm.
That's October 3rd. So,
Okay, so
gosh, so many
few
games in
days now.
October. Yeah. Again, at some point in my life, I'd like to play that. Okay, moving on. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. I think you had expressed some sort of interest in this. Am I right?
Sort of. So,
So, okay.
uh, the only Metal Gear I've ever played was a little bit of Metal Gear 5, which was cool, but at the same time, it was during a time in my life where I bought almost every new game that came out.
Right. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And it just overwhelmed me to the point where I was, anything like open like that, I was, you know, I
Yeah.
could get a few hours in at most, and then I was like, all right, I got to try something else.
Interestingly, it's next gen only and Switch and PC.
Hmm,
So it's coming to Switch, but not PS4 or
okay,
Xbox One. That's strange.
yeah. Um, but no, I am mildly interested in this one because Metal Gear is a massive franchise.
So
Um,
what is this? The first three games
I
or
think
something like
it's
that? Or
the first 2 or 3 games. In their original quality, just brought to newer consoles,
oh, okay.
in a collection, which um, I think I just kind of want to be a part of that conversation. Um,
Okay.
because Metal Gear is, it's a game that a lot of people grew up. That's a lot of people's favorite series.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to know what all the hype is about, I guess.
You've got FOMO.
Yeah. So them bringing 3 of the originals to newer consoles, like I know they're not going to look any better, but they're more accessible now to people who didn't play them on PS1 when they were a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm actually, I think I will check this one out at least to see if it's something I can get into.
Yeah. It's probably not gonna be $60, so
I
that
hope.
might help.
I hope not.
Next on the list, this is a weird one. Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. Now, my wife is a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Hmm.
So when I brought this up to her, I asked like, "What's Moria?" And she's kind of telling me. I'm like, "Okay, well, they're making a game about the dwarves returning to Moria."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, that'd be really cool." So I kind of looked into it. I don't know what this game is. It looks like a mining game, but just very low quality. Uh, it's it's coming out the 24th on PS5 and PC. It I watched like a 10-minute gameplay thing. I don't know what I saw.
Hmm.
Like they were just mining, they were talking. I don't know what kind of gameplay aspects are going to go into this, but if you're a huge Lord of the Ring fan and it'd be cool to play as a dwarf, check out Return to Moria. So I don't have much to say about that. Next is Alan Wake 2 out on the 27th on next gen and PC.
Hmm.
People are pretty hyped for this. A
Yeah.
lot of people liked Alan Wake 1, and apparently Alan Wake 2 is kind of implementing some new survival gameplay aspects. So I think a lot of people are going to like this game.
Yeah. I mean, I personally am, I don't know if it'll be a day one for me, but I never played the original Alan Wake, but this makes me kind of want to consider playing it because um, all of the trailers so far have looked great. Like, um, the gameplay definitely looks like something I think I would be into.
Mm-hmm.
Looks a
It's
little
definitely
bit Resident
survival.
Evil ish, but
Yeah. Yep. Survival horror for sure.
hmm,
It's going to scare your pants off.
yeah. So we'll see if I'm tough enough. I'm not, but we'll see if I can trick myself into it.
Well, you've gotten through The Last of Us, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know how many
So
times. I still get scared going through parts of that game, and especially part 2. There are parts of part 2 that I kind of dread,
yeah,
but
I
it's
bet.
still one of my favorite games.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So, yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see how that one does. Maybe that'll be a pickup down the road when it's on sale.
So that's everything in October, and I bet there are one, two, three, maybe like four Game of the Year candidates just coming out in October.
Yeah. I
Assassin's Creed Mirage, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Alan Wake 2. I bet that'll at least be in the conversation.
Oh, 100%.
So that's pretty wild. I don't know if there's four games, potential Game of the Year games coming out in the same month
Mhm.
ever before. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, they definitely have their competition cut out for them with
Oh yeah, and
Zelda and
Tears of the
Baldur's
Kingdom.
Gate. But
Sorry,
um,
every other 2023 game, but
yeah, but
Tears of the Kingdom came out.
yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you know, there's a lot of awards, and there's definitely some contenders in there.
Yeah, I mean we'll definitely talk about it, but
Oh, for sure.
2023 is gonna go down as one of the best years in gaming ever.
Hmm.
It's been a good year.
Yeah,
Okay,
completely agree.
we're moving on to November. First up in November is WarioWare Move It, November 3rd for the Switch. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this.
I feel like I have. WarioWare is
Uh,
one of those things that like I never feel like I'm gonna play, but I'm always just entertained by like what I see of it.
so WarioWare is, I would say it's like Mario Party, but just the mini games
Okay.
and hundreds of them. But they're
Wow.
they're very very small,
Mm-hmm.
and WarioWare Move It is going to focus on motion controls with the Joy Cons.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having to complete these little mini games while like flailing your arms or just doing something silly. It looks pretty cool. I'm considering it, just having it as like a little family game
Yeah.
to play with the kid and stuff. I
Yeah.
think we'd all get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
It
I
looks cool.
I think that could be fun then.
And then they can get that out of the way and they can start working on the next Fire Emblem game because they're the same studio.
One can only hope.
Yes, Intelligent Systems just make Fire Emblem games. Next is a mouthful. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. So like a Dragon is the former, or is the new name for the Yakuza series,
Mm-hmm.
which I've always kind of been weirded out why they called it Yakuza.
Yeah.
Like
In thinking about it
it's
now, it's kind of it kind of makes sense that they would
yeah. They never
rebrand.
did in Japan. In Japan, they were called Like a Dragon,
Oh, okay.
but everywhere else they were called Yakuza. But now officially they've changed everything. All around the world is gonna be Like a Dragon.
Okay.
Um, um, this series is Like a Dragon slash Yakuza is another series I wish I could really get into. There's so many games, and Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon, if you want to just confuse it even more,
Mm-hmm.
um, is a lot of people's like favorite game ever.
Yeah.
So I would really like to play that too. That came out in 2020. Um, let's see, the man who changed his name.
Man who erased his name.
Sorry, man
You
who
couldn't
erased
remember
his
all
name. Yeah, right. Christ. So I think this is a spin-off of one of the side characters,
Mm-hmm.
Kiryu. So yeah, I think this is going to be a staple for anybody that's really into the Like a Dragon series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know anything. I started Yakuza 7 for like an hour. That's all I got. But I'd like to get into it more because, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, a lot of people really like this game.
Yeah.
That's out on the 9th, and that's on everything but Switch. So PS4 owners can still play that.
Okay.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which will probably be the best selling game of 2024 because Call of Duty does every year.
Yep.
It's on the 10th on next gen and PC. Nothing too crazy there.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about this maybe last time, but I'm
Yeah,
surprised that they're going right into Modern Warfare 3, and not taking
yeah.
the year off to do a Black Ops or whatever. Not saying that they need to continue the Black Ops series, but I also don't know if they, I don't know if they need to continue the Modern Warfare series either. I think that they
Eh,
they
it's
could
Call of
do with
Duty,
a
man.
break on Call of Duty, but they're never
They
going
will
to.
never going to. Best
Mm-hmm.
selling game every year.
Yep.
The next one I find interesting is The Day Before, which I
Yeah.
thought. So this is a survival horror game that is, on its surface, it looks very derivative of The Last of Us. I thought they canceled this game. I don't know where I heard that or why I thought that, but apparently they did not.
So this game has a very odd history. Um, I've followed it for quite a while now. I will say that I completely agree. It does. It kind of looks like a mixture of The Last of Us with uh maybe what The Division was supposed to be or what people hoped it would be.
Okay.
Um, but open world or seemingly open world survival horror game with zombies. But it looks like you can uh like the exploration is pretty in depth. Like you can go into buildings and stuff, and there's vehicles you can drive around. Uh, and like I think there was a multiplayer aspect to it. Um, like I don't know if it would be considered an MMO, but it's like there's definitely some online multiplayer parts of
Okay.
it.
So maybe it's not as derivative as I thought it was.
Not necessarily, but there are definitely parts of it that are. Um,
Okay.
but what I find interesting about this game specifically is when it was first announced, however many years ago it was, the initial gameplay trailer blew my mind. I was
Okay.
like, this is you know, a studio that is not new, but I had never heard of. And the like just the the graphics and the overall style of it all looked like very much AAA. Um, I was very impressed. The gameplay looked fun. The premise looked really interesting. Just the fact that you could explore, you know, one of the things that I've always wanted from like a Last of Us is to be able to go into these decrepit buildings and explore more than just the ones that are along the path of the story. And it looked like you could kind of do that. But apparently, a lot of the parts of that trailer that made it so cool were, I don't want to say stolen, but kind of reused assets from other games.
Okay.
And pretty much everything that's come out since then has looked much worse. Um,
Gotcha.
and apparently, this studio has a history of starting games, um, promise like drastically over promising, and then putting out something just completely broken and terrible.
I was scrolling through their like the developers website, and it
Mm,
just looks like they make a bunch of mobile game garbage.
yeah,
This is kind of the vibe I got anyway.
yeah. So I think one of their first big game, like console games, was Prop Hunt, which most people would agree was uh, incredibly broken. It's got a 5 out of 10 on Steam, um, but it was supposedly like pretty hyped for a while. But they put a lot of you know they got people really excited for it, and then just basically abandoned it right before release. Uh, but agreed to a deadline and just put it out as it was, and it was just
Hmm.
horrible. So
I guess we'll see. That
yeah,
should be some more drama. You know, video game industry is short on drama these days. So
yeah, yeah. We could fill several episodes talking about video game drama.
yeah. Speaking of video game drama, Hogwarts Legacy is coming to Nintendo Switch on the 14th.
Yeah,
That'll be good for people as long as it runs well. I think
yeah.
people will enjoy that.
I'm a little bit concerned about that one. I think that the Switch can run it, but I think that they're going to have to really kind of downscale a lot of things. Because on next gen and PC, like that game ran really well. It looked really good, but it was very demanding. Um, so I think they're really going to have to scale down a lot of the graphical fidelity, and um, yeah, I'll be interested to see how it runs at 30 FPS, if that.
Yeah. Yeah, the poor Switch needs an upgrade.
That it definitely does.
um Persona 5 Tactica is next, the 17th. That comes out on everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a big Persona 5 fan, I think this is like your next canon game. I've heard it's pretty good. It's turn-based tactics. If I were to have ever beaten Persona 5, I would probably play this, but I haven't, so I won't.
I mean, isn't that game like 100 hours long?
Minimum,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, it is.
I'm a hot take here. It's too big.
Too big.
Make it
Can't
smaller.
handle that. Yeah.
Just
chop it.
chop it. Cut it in half.
Chop it in half.
That's still a big game if you cut it in half. So
Yeah, 50 hours is even crazy.
yeah.
The same day, Super Mario RPG 17th, out on the Switch only. This, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one.
Mm-hmm.
I never played Super Mario RPG back in the day, and I probably should play this, but I don't think I will. Because there's only so much time in my life to play video games.
Yeah. I mean, well, just looking at this list here, I'm already, there's a lot on here that I'm gonna have to put to the side for a while.
Yeah, and it doesn't include my already enormous backlog.
Oh God,
Let's not forget
I
that.
don't even want to think about that.
Next is Biomutant. Jake, do you remember Biomutant?
I never played it. I know that it's a bit of a laughingstock in the gaming world.
Apparently. So it came out, I'm not sure which year, but a couple years ago, for consoles and probably PC. But now it's coming to Switch on the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
And Biomutant was one of those games that they talked about forever, for years and years and years.
Yep.
It was in development. You'd get a little piece of information here and there. And then it finally came out and people didn't like it. Uh, it seemed like a cool idea. You were like, I don't know, a rat cat looking thing.
I see like a raccoon, but maybe
Okay,
that's
raccoon, sure, but very customizable, and the weapon or like the combat seemed kind of cool. I'm not really sure where this game fell flat. I never played it either,
hmm
but yeah, I don't think many people liked it. But darn it, they stuck with this, and they're gonna bring it to Switch.
yeah.
Maybe there's a new audience to be found.
So I'm looking at the Steam page for it, and
Mm-hmm.
overall, or out of all the reviews, which there's 11,000, it's mixed. Uh,
Okay.
but in recent reviews, which there are 39, is mostly positive.
All right.
So
Well, those 39 people are enjoying it.
that's somebody must be having a good time with it, or maybe they've made some updates in the last couple of years because you know. So I mean, if people weren't if people weren't enjoying it, then I don't think they would be bringing it to Switch. But
Yeah, I don't think they'd be wasting the time.
hmm
And that's it for November.
hmm
Less Game of the Year candidates.
yeah,
Probably Modern Warfare 3, and that's probably it.
I don't unless the day before it comes out and it's actually as good as everyone was hoping it was a few years ago. Yeah, I think maybe one Game of the Year candidate out of November.
Yep. And then there's only one game coming out in December that I think that only looked interesting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. That comes out December 1st for next gen and PC. I Ubisoft is developing this, and if you know anything about Ubisoft, is that their games are just pretty much cookie cutter with different paint,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're the developers of Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, um, and Watch Dogs and a few other ones. So some things I've heard about this is that it feels like a Ubisoft game. You're gonna feel right at home. If you enjoyed Far
Oh,
Cry, you're gonna like this. Um, so I don't know. I mean, people like Avatar, man. So, and this is the James Cameron movie, not
mm-hmm.
Avatar: Last Airbender. So, and my opinions would be different, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I think people like this game too.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that you hear people say it feels like a Ubisoft game and that's a negative connotation. Like but that's the reputation that they've given themselves over the last, 5 to 10 years. It's like
I was gonna say like 15 years.
yeah, like everything kind of just feels the same and I will admit I was sort of excited for this one when it first was announced, just because it looked, I'm not a big Avatar fan. I haven't even,
Okay, I was gonna ask.
yeah, I saw the first movie probably around when it came out. Haven't seen the
Mm-hmm.
second one. Don't don't really care to. Um, but I thought like, if they can make this game um interesting where, you're living in this world, you're like, make it mostly like bow and arrow combat, like make it more primitive, I guess,
Yeah,
with the
I
combat and
saw.
like
I think there's a lot of guns.
yeah, well that's the part that, you know, really took me out of it. The last trailer that I saw was like
Okay, yeah.
they they showed a lot of stuff that made it look cool, like, you can fly on the different creatures and ride some of them like horses and hunt and do all the stuff that I think that you would do in this world. And then they were also like, but the humans are attacking with their machines and you gotta fight them with guns. And I'm like, just
Darn it.
everything has guns. Do something else.
Yes. Thank you. Guns are so boring in video games to me.
Like, I mean, it's not fair to say this because several of my favorite games are shooters, but like, that's not the part that I enjoy about them.
Yeah, and Last of Us did it different.
Yeah.
They did the gunplay very different than what other first person or third person shooters do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was, if this was gonna be like maybe like a Horizon-esque,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just bows and other variations of like you said, primitive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this might be cooler, but yeah, a lot of guns. Very Far Cry, you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel right at home if you like Far Cry games.
Yeah. Which I mean, I could go on a tangent for a long time about my disappointment with Far Cry after Far Cry 3, which is still one of my favorite games, but everything they've done
Yeah.
after that has just been...
Yeah, I would agree with that. I played 4 and 5 and didn't finish either of them.
Yep. 4, I will say I put a good amount of time into, and I didn't hate it, but it definitely didn't grab me the way the Far Cry 3 did.
No.
And I've dabbled in 4 and 5, and both of them were a pretty quick put down and never pick up.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Well, that's it. That is the major releases for the rest of the year. That there's way more coming out, but things I've never heard of. So I kept those off the list.
Mm-hmm.
If you just Google, I got all this stuff from Game Informer. If you Google Game Informer 2023, you'll get their entire list.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of narrowed it down. Otherwise, we would talk forever.
Yeah.
Which we kind of already have.
Yeah. I would say that we, if we looked at the entire list, even if there were games that we had never heard of, I feel like we would still try and like say something about them.
Yeah, like this would be appealing for this type of game.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But not us.
Yeah. So I think for the sake of our sanity and yours, we probably it was good that we cut that list down to the essentials.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, it is we are running late and are running long, and it's late and I'm sleepy. So we'll save our Game of Thrones talk for another day. How does that sound?
I am okay with that.
That's good. Because you're out there on the East Coast. It's getting late for you too.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, we will continue our conversation on that because I do want to hear your thoughts on the series and how it ended. But
absolutely,
hopefully after this week I will have a bit more free time so we can record a little bit more frequently. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this one.
Sounds good. Outro us, Jake.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for sticking around through this whole thing. If you're not familiar with what we do, so I am of the YouTube channel Gooba and Jetpack. We put out new videos every Thursday. A lot of Nancy Drew and mystery game related stuff, and then every few months when I have an idea, I'll put a video out there. And we put out videos on this channel whenever we have time to record.
Yep.
But they're usually, we usually have a lot to catch up on, so it's usually a good bit of if you like conversations about video games, you usually count on a couple hours of us talking about them.
Yep. As always, leave us a comment. We would love to hear your gaming opinions and talk about them.
Yeah. And as always, keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.